Well, hello, YouTube. I wanted to take one more stab at refuting the flat Earth zigzag sun argument. I've tackled this issue previously when discussing how I created this animation in Photoshop by continuously turning the Earth counterclockwise and then having to turn the camera clockwise or to the right to keep the sun in line with the camera. Just as you see in the Arctic Midnight Sun videos where the cameraman has to constantly pan to his right. Now, a few people have tried to argue with me that the camera is not turning constantly to the right, but as evidence they point to the completed animation, this one here, where the camera is pointing right, left, then right, and now it's pointing left again, and then it's pointing right, and now it pivots and it points left, and they say that that proves that the sun should zigzag across the sky. But the final animation is misleading because the movement of the camera shown in the final animation is what would be seen from a viewer in the frame of reference outside the Earth-Sun system looking down on it, and not what someone standing on the face of the Earth would see or have to do. It's the making of the animation that corresponds to the filming of the Arctic sun from the surface of the Earth. But I'm going to try a slightly different argument. And I want to make perfectly clear that I'm not offering this argument as proof of a round Earth, only as a refutation of a proof of a flat Earth. The position of the sun in our sky on its own, as it appears to circle the sky in the Arctic summer, would be the same for both a globe Earth and the most popular flat Earth model. Now, before I really get into it, I just want to mention that the idea that the camera would be seen to pivot side to side at all is misleading. If the model that I had created, if the animation I created were to scale, the camera would not go back and forth as seen in the animation, but instead it would always be pointing straight forward. Now, this camera is not quite pointing straight forward, but it was the closest frame that I had to the way I was pivoting it. This is where I had the sun when I made the original animation, and as you can see, the camera is pointing almost vertical even from at this distance. We can see that there's almost a perpendicular 90-degree angle there. And as the sun gets farther and farther away, the camera would have to straighten up more and more to see the sun. And as you can see in the last one, if I just bring this back so that I only have the very last one, that is very close to a 90-degree angle in there, and this sun is still nowhere near as far away as it needs to be from the Earth in order to have a scale model. It's also way too small, but that's besides the point. Okay. So the camera would not even appear to pivot at all if you were looking outside the system. It would just look like it was constantly pointing straight ahead. But let's see how the sun should appear to move about the sky in each of the models that we are discussing. So first we're going to take a look at this one, which is the most common flat Earth map. And I've placed an object, could be a cameraman, could be a statue, something, inside the Arctic Circle facing the North Pole. Now I've labeled the front, the back, the left, and the right so that we can see where the sun is in regards to this thing, the statue, this person, could be a cameraman. Now he's going to remain stationary, facing the North Pole, not pivoting back and forth, just so that we don't confuse the motion of the person, the motion of the Earth, the motion of the sun. So we're going to start with the sun here at about the 3 o'clock position, which is generally to the right of our cameraman. Now it's sort of in front, but mostly to the right of our cameraman. And we're going to move the sun in 6-hour intervals, which are 90 degrees or quarter turns. So we're starting with it at 3 o'clock. We can see that it's to the right. So the sun is to the right of the cameraman. If we move it 6 hours later, so it's 1/4 turn about the Earth, we can see that now it is at the back of our cameraman or statue or whatever this is we have here. And we're going to move it another 6 hours, and it's now over here, which is generally to the left. Another 6 hours, and it is in front of our camera person. And then we'll move it another 6 hours, and it's back to where it came from, completing one cycle, one daily cycle, and the sun is now back to the right. So the sun moves right behind, left, front, right. Now, let's take a look at what would happen on the globe model. So in this model, and we can't see the sun in here because I can't do it anywhere near to scale, so I'm just not going to put it in at all. We've already said that pretty much anywhere on here the sun's going to look like it's straight that way. So the sun is just, it's over here. Okay, so it starts to the right of this cameraman. Now, again, he's not going to move. He's not going to pivot. He's going to stay right there. So we're starting with the sun way over here, and the sun's going to stay over here. It's to the right. Now, we're going to turn it a quarter turn. Each quarter turn is 6 hours. So when we turn it its first quarter turn, where does he now see the sun? And remember, it's going to be going counterclockwise, which is what the heliocentric model tells us that people in the northern hemisphere will experience. So you can see 6 hours later, sun is still over here. It is behind the person. So the sun is now behind. Let's take another look. 6 hours later, the Earth is going to complete another quarter turn. And we can see sun is over here. And if we look at this, it's now to the left of the person that's facing the North Pole. We're going to do another quarter turn. And sun is still over in this general vicinity. It's to the front of the person there. And if we rotate it once more, we're back to where we started from, so the sun is now to the right of the person. So it has gone right behind, left, front, right. Now, I'm just going to take a quick look. Let's pull both of these up here. And doesn't that look familiar? Right behind, left, front, right. Right behind, left, front, right. There is no zigzag. Okay? It's exactly the same if we look at the motion for the sun for both of them. The apparent motion is the same for each model. So how can we use the sun to know whether we are on a ball or on a flat plane? Well, it would be about the size of the sun. In this model, depending on where you are on the Earth, the sun has to get considerably farther or closer to you. The sun is a lot closer here than it is over here, and so it would have to be visibly larger and smaller. And if you want to argue about that, or if you want to know more about that, Daz the Cameraman has a really good video on it. Red's Rhetoric has a good video on it, where they take photos of the sun through the course of the day using proper filters so that they're getting the body of the sun, not the glow around the sun. And they show you that the sun does not change size during the course of the day. It stays the same size, which is just not possible on the flat Earth model.